Paul Heyman just committed the most disgusting, vile, unforgivable act of betrayal in modern wrestling history. The man who claims loyalty is everything. The man who built his entire career on trust and brotherhood. The man who stood beside Roman Reigns through wars, stood beside Brock Lesnar through dominance, stood beside CM Punk through chaos, just stabbed a rising star in the back so brutally that the entire wrestling world is still in shock. Monday Night Raw, Detroit, Michigan. Bron Breakker was on the verge of the biggest victory of his career. He was seconds away from becoming the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. His manager, his advocate, Paul Heyman, was ringside cheering him on. Everything was perfect. The story was writing itself. The student was about to surpass the teacher. The young lion was about to claim his throne. And then Paul Heyman picked up a chair and smashed it across Bron Breakker's skull. The arena went silent. Not the shocked silence of a good heel turn. The horrified silence of witnessing something unthinkable. Bron collapsed in the middle of the ring, blood pouring from a gash on his forehead. Heyman stood over him with that sadistic smile spreading across his face. And then Seth Rollins, the man Breakker was about to defeat, crawled over and made the pin. 1, 2, 3. New champion. Except he didn't win. He was gifted the title by the devil himself. But it gets so much worse. Because after the match, after the referee raised Seth's hand, after the confetti fell and the music played, Paul Heyman got on the microphone. And what he said next destroyed Bron Breakker's soul. He said, "Bron, did you really think I chose you? Did you actually believe I saw something special in you? You were a placeholder. A pawn. A naive child who thought he deserved to be in the same conversation as the legends I've represented. But you're not Brock Lesnar. You're not Roman Reigns. You're not even close. You're just Rick Steiner's kid playing dress up. And now you're nothing." The crowd booed so loud the building shook. Trash rained down into the ring. Security had to form a barrier around Heyman and Rollins as they left. But Heyman wasn't done. He turned back one more time, microphone still in hand, and delivered the final knife twist. "Seth Rollins is my client. Seth Rollins has always been my client. This was the plan all along. And Bron, you were just too stupid to see it coming." Bron Breakker didn't move. He just lay there in the center of the ring, blood mixing with tears, staring up at the lights. Betrayed. Humiliated. Destroyed. Not by an opponent, but by the man he trusted more than anyone. The man who promised to guide him to greatness. The man who looked him in the eye every single day for 6 months and lied. So let me ask you straight up, do you think Paul Heyman is the greatest manipulator in wrestling history, or is he just a coward who stabs people in the back when it's convenient? Because this betrayal didn't come out of nowhere. Let's rewind. Let's look at how we got here. And trust me, when you see the whole picture, it's even more disgusting. 6 months ago, Bron Breakker was floundering. He'd lost his NXT championship. He'd been called up to the main roster with zero direction. WWE Creative had no idea what to do with him. He was working dark matches, showing up on main event, getting lost in the shuffle. His potential was being wasted. His family legacy was being disrespected. Rick Steiner's son was being treated like enhancement talent. It was embarrassing. And then Paul Heyman approached him, backstage at a Monday Night Raw taping in Seattle. Heyman pulled Bron aside and said he saw something special. Said Bron reminded him of a young Brock Lesnar. Said with the right guidance, with the right advocate, Bron could be unstoppable. He offered his services, his expertise, his legendary reputation. And Bron, young and hungry and desperate for a chance, said yes. It was perfect. Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker. The wise man and the weapon. The storyteller and the destroyer. They cut promos together that gave people chills. Heyman's words elevated Bron from a generic powerhouse to a legitimate main event threat. He got Bron into marquee matches, got him on pay-per-views, got him into the World Heavyweight Championship picture. Within 3 months, Bron went from an afterthought to one of the most talked-about stars in WWE, and he credited all of it to Paul Heyman. Bron started calling Heyman his mentor, his father figure in the business. He'd thank him in interviews, praise him on social media, say things like, "Paul sees something in me that I didn't even see in myself, and I owe everything to this man." It was genuine, real emotion, real gratitude. Bron wasn't playing a character. He truly believed Heyman cared about him. And Paul Heyman? He played the role perfectly. He'd put his arm around Bron's shoulders during promos. He'd stand ringside and celebrate Bron's victories like a proud father. He'd cut emotional promos about how Bron was the future of WWE, how he represented everything great about professional wrestling. People bought it. The fans bought it. The locker room bought it. Even WWE management bought it. Everyone thought this partnership was real, but it wasn't. It was all an elaborate setup. Here's what we've learned in the 24 hours since the betrayal. Sources backstage say Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins have been in secret contact for months. They've been planning this swerve since before Heyman even approached Bron. Seth's title reign was in trouble. He was losing momentum. He needed something massive to reignite his character. And Heyman, always the opportunist, pitched him the perfect plan. Let me manage someone else. Build them up. Make everyone believe I've moved on from you. And then at the biggest moment, I'll hand you everything. Think about how calculated that is. How cold. How evil. Paul Heyman spent 6 months earning Bron Breakker's trust, not to help him, but to destroy him. Every promo was manipulation. Every pep talk was a lie. Every moment of mentorship was part of the con. And Bron had no idea. He walked into that title match believing he had an advocate in his corner. But all he had was a snake waiting to strike. Quick question. Knowing what Paul Heyman did, do you think Bron Breakker can ever trust another manager or mentor again? Because the psychological damage here is devastating. Bron didn't just lose a championship opportunity. He lost his confidence, his trust, his belief in the business. When you're betrayed by someone you looked up to, someone you considered family, it changes you. It breaks something inside that can never fully heal. And Paul Heyman knows that. He's been in this industry for 40 years. He's seen what betrayal does to young talent. And he did it anyway. Not for money. Not for power. Just for the sick thrill of playing puppet master one more time. Let's talk about Seth Rollins' role in this. Because he's not innocent. He knew. He was part of the plan. He spent months watching Bron and Heyman together, knowing it was all a lie. He had opportunities to warn Bron, to be the bigger man, to show some integrity. But he didn't. Because Seth Rollins has always been willing to do whatever it takes to stay on top. He's betrayed the Shield. He's betrayed his friends. He's betrayed fans' trust before. And now he's complicit in destroying a young man's career before it even peaked. After Raw went off the air, Seth cut a backstage promo. He said, "This is the wrestling business. There's no room for sentiment. Bron was in my way. Paul helped me remove the obstacle. That's how you survive in WWE. Cold, calculated, completely devoid of empathy. But that's who Seth Rollins is. He's a corporate champion, a company man. Someone who'll shake your hand and stab you in the back in the same breath if it benefits his position." And Paul Heyman? He released a statement through WWE's website that was even more disgusting. He said, "I am a businessman. My loyalty is to excellence, not to children playing at greatness." Seth Rollins is a proven commodity. A Grand Slam champion. A WrestleMania main eventer. Bron Breakker is potential. And potential means nothing in this business. Seth gave me an offer Bron never could, a guarantee of relevance. A guarantee of relevance. Those words are going to haunt Bron Breakker for the rest of his career. Because what Heyman is really saying is you weren't good enough. You were never good enough. I used you, and now I'm done with you. That's not just betrayal. That's annihilation of someone's spirit. The locker room is furious. Multiple wrestlers have spoken out against Heyman on social media. Cody Rhodes tweeted some lines should never be crossed. Mentorship means something. Trust means something. Kevin Owens said on his podcast that what Heyman did was one of the most disgusting things I've seen in 20 years in this business. Even veterans who usually stay quiet are calling this out. Because everyone understands the unspoken rule. You don't destroy young talent like that. You don't build them up just to tear them down in the most humiliating way possible. It's bad for business. It's bad for morale. It's bad for the future of wrestling. But Paul Heyman doesn't care. He's never cared about the rules. He's never cared about tradition. He only cares about himself and his own legacy. And in his twisted mind, this betrayal adds to his legend. He thinks people will remember him as the greatest manipulator of all time. The man who fooled everyone. The devil on WWE's shoulder. And you know what? He might be right. Because we're all talking about it. Social media is exploding. Wrestling forums are on fire. YouTube channels are pumping out videos analyzing every detail. Paul Heyman has once again inserted himself into the center of the wrestling conversation. And that's all he's ever wanted. Attention. Relevance. People talking about Paul Heyman. But at what cost? Bron Breakker's career might never recover. He's going to have trust issues. He's going to second-guess everyone who tries to help him. He's going to be paranoid and isolated. And all because Paul Heyman decided this kid was expendable. A storyline sacrifice. Collateral damage in the grand saga of Heyman's ego. Here's another question for you. Should WWE have stepped in and stopped this angle before it went this far? Or is this exactly the kind of heat the business needs? Because there are two ways to look at this. From a business perspective, it's genius. People are watching. Ratings are going to spike. The rematch between Bron and Seth is going to draw huge numbers. Merchandise sales are going to explode when Bron finally gets his revenge. This is the kind of storyline that creates stars. Bron Breakker has the opportunity to become the ultimate babyface, the sympathetic hero who overcomes betrayal to reach the mountaintop. That's money. But from a human perspective, it's cruel. Because Bron's real emotions are being used as content. His genuine pain is being exploited for ratings. And that's the dark side of professional wrestling that nobody wants to acknowledge. These are real people with real feelings, and sometimes the lines between character and person get blurred beyond recognition. Bron gave an interview yesterday. His first public comments since the betrayal. His voice was shaking. You could see the anger and hurt in his eyes. He said, "Paul Heyman looked me in the eye and told me I was family. And I believed him. Because I'm not a politician. I'm not a schemer. I'm just a kid who loves wrestling and wanted to make my family proud. And he used that against me. He weaponized my trust, my loyalty, my respect. And for what? So Seth Rollins could keep a title he doesn't deserve? So Paul could feel powerful one more time? It's sick. It's evil. And I'm going to make both of them pay." That's not a promo. That's a promise. And you can feel the authenticity dripping from every word. Bron isn't acting anymore. This is real. The betrayal might have been scripted, but the emotion is 100% genuine. And that's what's going to make the payoff so satisfying. When Bron finally gets his hands on Paul Heyman, when he finally beats Seth Rollins and takes that championship, it's going to feel earned. It's going to feel real. It's going to feel like justice. But the question remains, can Bron actually recover from this? History is not on his side. Wrestling is littered with young stars who were built up and torn down and never reached their potential. For every Roman Reigns who survived betrayal and became a megastar, there are 10 talents who faded into obscurity. The wrestling business is cruel. It chews people up and spits them out. And when you add psychological warfare to the mix, when someone's confidence is shattered, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild. Bron has the talent. He has the pedigree. He has the physical tools to be a world champion. But does he have the mental fortitude to overcome this? Can he channel his anger into motivation instead of letting it consume him? That's the real story here. Not the betrayal itself, but what happens next. Does Bron rise from the ashes like a phoenix, or does he become another cautionary tale of wasted potential? Paul Heyman's history of betrayals is long and storied. He betrayed the original ECW by mismanaging it into bankruptcy. He betrayed WWE by jumping to WCW. He's betrayed nearly every client he's ever represented at some point. Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, even Roman Reigns, though they eventually reconciled. Betrayal is Paul Heyman's signature move. It's what he does. It's who he is. And somehow, he always comes out on top. He always survives. He always finds a new meal ticket. But maybe this time is different. Maybe he went too far. Maybe destroying a young man's career for a short-term storyline payoff is the thing that finally turns everyone against him permanently. The locker room hates him. The fans are disgusted.